Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. We probably sound a little bit fatigued and out of breath and worn down after trying to outdo Her Majesty the Queen last week. And we had major street parties and celebrations as we had our 200th episode. Didn't end well, unfortunately. The 21 gun salute brought down 4 of the Red Arrows, but fortunately they managed to eject before anybody was seriously hurt. Adrian did the trajectory on a sketch on a bit of a napkin, and I blame you for that, really, to be honest with you. They weren't happy, were they?
Well, I was never very good at trig or trigonometry.
No.
Now, you've just shown me, am I allowed to reveal that you have a drone? And I don't mean me talking at you all the time for 101 episode. Did you know that's how they did the clever light show, if indeed you saw it at Buckhouse?
I didn't watch any of the celebration. You know, I'm not one for celebrations, mine or anyone else's.
Yeah, you don't see why anyone else should have any fun either.
Well, that is where I'm coming from really with it. But no, but I saw still pictures of it, which obviously doesn't do it the justice that it deserves. Anyway, welcome to Miniature Aviation Podcast, and hope you're having a good one.
Drone Weekly.
Do you know the thing is when people go on about how great things like that are, like you?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Hong Kong?
No, I blew it. I was given an opportunity in the late 90s before it was handed back.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What are you going to tell me about Hong Kong?
Well, I'm just going to say that every evening in Hong Kong, they put on a laser light show across the city upon nightfall, and they don't really make much of a thing about it. They just go, there you go. In the same way, if you go to Dubai wanted a monorail, and they went, we want it built in a year, and they built it in a year, and nobody else could build it in a year other than I think it was the Chinese who built it for them in the end.
I thought you were going to say, except Gatwick Airport.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, and they just go, okay, just do it. But we have
committed.
Yeah, I don't know whether we go, oh, isn't it amazing what we've done? To go, yeah, like they did it 4 years ago somewhere else. But it's great. I don't know.
But you wouldn't say that to your kids, would you? Yeah, you know that thing that really impressed you that you found was amazing? Don't find it amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we get to the comedy news?
Yeah, well, should we just tell people what it's about very quickly? This is the Comedy Slab podcast. We talk about comedy. I mean, you wouldn't think it, to be honest with you, when you sit there and you listen to him banging on about his drones and me banging on about Hong Kong. It could be the miniature aviation travel show for bald, boring men. I don't know, but anyway, it isn't. It's all about comedy, and each week we choose a comedy to watch or to listen to, or to digest, and we will play a couple of clips of the said comedy, and we'll give it a mark out of 5 each, giving it a grand total out of 10, of course, by the end of the podcast. And of course, you're welcome to, in various outlets, let us know what you think as well. That pretty well sums it up, doesn't it? I think, and lets people know where we're coming from.
Give or take, yeah.
No more drones, not for this week. Anyway. Well, there might be. We'll see. We'll see what we get. I'll never say never again. Yeah. But yeah, comedy news. One I found this week, which I thought was like a really strange way to infringe a copyright. How many ways are there to infringe a copyright? Well, this is a weird one. Have you? Because I know you're very cosmopolitan.
No, that's how you like to see me.
No, that's
are. How I'd like to see myself, but I'm not.
You people in the South. You're all very cosmopolitan, and you go out to restaurants and you use cutlery and things like that.
Well, isn't that more to do with not having young children like you?
I know. Somebody said that to me the other day. Said, "Oh, have you been on this website where you can get tickets at a vastly reduced price because they want to fill the seats or whatever, and you can go at a moment's notice." And I just said, I haven't been anywhere at a moment's notice in the last 6 years, really. But there you go. Yeah, no, it's this thing about this. I don't know whether you come across this at all. This Only Fools and Horses dining experience. I mean, I presume it's down south.
Well, you presume that. I have heard of such a thing, but I don't recall where it is actually. But you would be talking about, well, something with lots of actors dressed up as if they are the characters from Only Fools and Horses.
I mean, very much so. I mean, they are the whole cast, aren't they, really? And presumably you go and have this Only Fools and Horses, the Kushti dining experience, by sitting with these people and having a meal, and they do only fools and horses type things, like, you know, Grandad says during the war, and Del Boy says lovely jubbly, you know, what, and all that sort of stuff. But they've been done asunder, haven't they, by the courts, because they've ruled that the High Court have ruled that they've actually infringed the copyright. And I just thought, well, how strange. But the people who've done this, who have been brought up short for doing this, Imagination Workshop.
Or lack of imagination workshop, perhaps we should call
them. They've done this before. They've done the Faulty Towers dining experience, but instead of spelling it with a W, F-A-W, they spelt it F-A-U. That seemed to upset John Cleese even more, because he said they're completely brazen, these people. They're utterly shameless. They take our concepts, they take our characters, they take our characters' names, and then they change a W to a U and say that it's got nothing to do with your show. You can understand why he's a bit miffed, but I've never heard of a copyright infringement like this before. Have you?
No, I haven't. Well, I've barely heard of a sort of dining experience like this. I suppose if you wanted to award a prize for brazenness, assuming such a word exists, I should think it does, and indeed a sort of simultaneously creative and yet very uncreative approach to copyright. Uncreative in the sense that they've nicked all the characters and the ideas, but slightly creative in that it's a dining experience rather than a show going around the country calling itself Only Fools and Horses. But even the typeface, I'm looking at the photo that goes with it. You can see the story on chortle.co.uk under their news. Even the typeface, the design for the dining experience, as far as I know, I haven't seen the show for years, but it's give or take, it's pretty much just lifted off the TV show itself.
Yeah, it's like a kind of cursive, like a handwriting sort of typeface, isn't it? Handwriting font.
If I was a graphic designer like my dad, I'd be able to tell you the name of the typeface, but I'm afraid I'm not that up on it. But yeah,
here's the thing with this though. Here's the thing that made me think, because I used to know a guy when I worked in Derby. There was a guy called Stephen Feeks, who was a Del Boy looky-likey. A very good one he was as well. He was really good. He was the spit of him. He was just lucky that nature had given him a kind of David Jason-esque face, and when he put the camel hair coat on and the flat cap, he was, and he could do the voice, and he was very good. But I just wonder where this leaves the looky-likey. Then what's the difference between, why should they get so upset? Why is it's the estate of John Sullivan, isn't it, the writer who have brought this action, I think. But I just wonder
the Sun and the production companies, it's Shazam Productions.
Why they would get so upset with this as a concept, and then, or will they then? Do you think go after looky-likeys, or is that a different thing?
But it's a very good question. You've bowled a googly. I don't have a smart answer, I'm afraid.
No.
But the point is, there are such things as impressionists. There is a precedent, isn't there? If they were going to take them to court, they'd have done it years ago. Or maybe the legal precedent was as a result of a court case years ago, long before our time. But there is such a thing as impressionism and so on, and I don't mean Monet. And that we've done that joke to death, haven't we? Really, in the last few weeks,
you have. I barely.
Yeah. Why would you go for a dining experience? I understand why that looks like a cut and dried case. I couldn't have seen it go any other way. The dining experience, and yet, as you say, the looky-likeys are. Well, since we've been on a regal theme. Certainly in the light of the Platinum Jubilee, there was for many years, I don't know if she's retired now herself, but there was a Queen lookalike who would turn up at receptions and so on.
Well, a lot of Stefan's work used to be, and in fact I've also got another mate who does corporate entertainment. And a lot of Stefan's work was corporate, so he would go to a corporate, dinner or event or something where they were having a meal, and he'd probably, push the trolley out and go, "All right, does anybody want to buy a watch and stuff, and all that kind of stuff." And I kind of think, well, what's the difference between that and, the only difference I can see is marketing, isn't it? You're actually marketing this as that entity. rather than a looky-likey who will turn up and here, there, and everywhere kind of thing. It's fascinating, isn't it? Though I don't wonder.
It is. I mean, it keeps barristers in work and mistresses and many houses across many continents for years. I suppose. I mean, one of the questions. I'm absolutely not a legal brain, but I know there is a sort of thing about would the customer be fooled into thinking? Would they think? I mean, I think that's mentioned in this article, isn't it? Would you go there thinking this is an authorised experience? Whereas if you were at a dinner and someone turned up dressed up as Del Boy,
yeah.
I don't think you jump to the conclusion, oh, this is authorised by the estate of John Sullivan and all of that. Do you think it might be around that issue?
Possibly, although I don't really know what the difference is in, if you could argue that one was detriment to the estate, then so surely would be the other one. I don't understand.
Do you mean detriment as in denying them income that is their due?
Well, it could be that, or it could be that it isn't deemed to be of sufficient quality to be associated with the real thing. And I know that's happened before. Is that, it was like, was it you that was telling me about there was a case about a tribute band.
It was Tina Turner
Tribute Act, wasn't it? Yeah.
Tribute Act. But this was Germany. I mean, every jurisdiction's got its own laws, obviously. But
she got away with it because she was rubbish, didn't she, apparently?
No. The complaint was she looked too much like Tina Turner.
Too good. Oh, right, okay.
But actually, Tina Turner might be slightly flattering herself, because I think it looked like a younger version of Tina Turner, with all due respect to a very talented artiste. And if you go to... Well, it should say on posters. Maybe that was part of the weakness of their. I know the Tribute Act won the case, so I imagine at least in small print on the posters it would say a tribute to Tina Turner.
Maybe that's the mistake they made. They should have said a tribute to Only Fools and Horses, the dining experience. I don't know. Who knows? Or dares to dream. Anyway, we're just hoping now that two bald fellas with glasses will come along and do the comedy slab
dining experience.
But yeah, anyway, if you want to have a look, as Adrian said, it's in Chortle. Shall we dash on and get to
Chortle? Might want to sue us for taking their news, but we have at least credited them. Shall we slab on?
Oh, quick hello and thank you and welcome along, and do you mind if I don't, to a lovely gentleman who did I send that to you in the week? Did I send you a note?
If you did, I'm afraid it zoomed past me at the speed of email or whatever connection you made it on.
Half the time, I don't know whether I've done it or I haven't done it. It was by a young man called Gary Lloyd, who left us a comment on our YouTube channel on the 200th episode, and he said, "Well done at reaching episode 200 of your podcast. I enjoy listening to your light-hearted chat." And he's put various emojis there, which is really quite nice. And I replied to it just to say, how nice. It made my day, actually, to be honest with you. I thought, what a nice bloke to take the time to do that.
I'm just wondering how bad your day was. But no, I'm not belittling, because it's you that is the one who always wants to take the wind out of my sails when I'm in awe and wonder of amazing things.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gary Lloyd.
Yeah, thanks, Gary.
And
he doesn't mention whether he's got a drone or not, so I don't know whether I don't know.
Or whether there's a Gary Lloyd looky-likey who pretends he likes the comedy Slab, but perhaps doesn't.
Oh.
But no, we welcome all praise like that. Who wouldn't?
I've seen it in a whole new light now you said that. Anyway, what did I choose to go with for this week when we were on the comedy
Do I need to remind you? I mean, was that a genuine question?
No, it was rhetorical. It was. I mean, if you can't tell by now, darling, I mean, there's no hope, is there, really?
I can't. I mean, it was such a deadpan delivery. I never know. Or is it pizza pan delivery?
I'm just gonna plough on and ignore him. You, for episode 200, chose an iconic classic, Monty Python. So I kind of said, well, let's have something a bit more, bang up to date in actual fact, a brand new commission. And it's a 6-parter, which is currently on the iPlayer. It's a BBC jobby, called Here We Go, which is like it follows the Jessop family. And it's all supposed to be done from the perspective of one of the family members, the lad who's doing a media studies course and is making the documentary as part of that. That's basically, it's written by Tom Basden, who we've talked about many times on the Comedy Slab. You come across this? I can't remember.
I had, and it turns out actually, and I can't remember how deliberate it was, if I'm painfully honest. I thought I'd watched Series 1, Episode 1. There is only the Series 1 at the moment, but whether it was the one that had just gone out that week and I did a lucky dip or something one night when I felt I just wanted to watch something randomly on my, I watched it on a computer, but that's neither here nor there. But I saw it on iPlayer, and actually I think I was watching episode 5. So it's neither here nor there. I watched episode 1 dutifully for my homework, not once, but twice, as we tried to do. Once with our normal head on, trying to be like an ordinary person, if ever that was possible. And then a second time, a slightly more pointy hat, perhaps a Slab comedy hat. Maybe it's a dunce's cap, I'm not entirely sure, but slightly more analytically starting to look at structure and things like that.
The first clip, we're in the family home. I mean, it's right at the top of the show. So it's kind of setting out a lot of stuff, I think, isn't it? Putting markers down and you know, the writing is kind of saying, oh, this is happening, this is who this is, and that's the relationship to them. So I thought they did that quite well in terms of, you know, it can be quite clunky sometimes. But we're in the family home. We're on the landing at the top of the stairs as Paul, one of the main characters, played by Jim Howick, hovers outside a bedroom door with a breakfast tray.
Okay, Dad, I'm filming. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, Sam, you on? Yeah? Okay. Little bed and breakfast for the birthday girl. It's not bed and breakfast. Sorry. Little birthday in bed for the breakfast girl.
That's not it.
Huh? Oh! Little breakfast in bed for the birthday girl. Scrambled eggs, salmon, OJ, cabriolet, s'il # best husband ever. That's gonna make her day.
Do you want a hand, Dad?
Oh, okay. I'm all good. We're in. Ready? Happy Happy birthday.
Thanks. What's that?
It's breakfast in bed. There's a little bit of fish there. It's Meg.
Thank you.
I think the expression would be, it's the thought that counts. How far do I go before doing the headline? I haven't got a very good headline, so can I talk that down and get that out of the way? So I'm not building expectations.
Whack it in there, and then we can all just move on and pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it depends if you know the phrase I've put at the end. Mainstream sitcom, here we go, a go-go. Does that mean anything to you?
Well, the mainstream sitcom certainly does. I mean, I think that's going to be certainly something I'd like to talk about in terms of why why Tom Basden is writing a mainstream.
I'm sensing less good vibes. But for those not familiar, and I won't send you away to Google, there's only so many times you can say Google it in one comedy slab. But a go-go used to be quite a frequently used phrase to mean something a bit special, like, you know, dancing on ice, a go-go.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to convey is I actually loved it, and I think it's actually, for me, it's refreshed mainstream comedy. But I've got a horrible feeling, and I'm not just getting it from the words you use, but also I have the misfortune to see you on Skype, which people have the fortune not to see you on. There's a little bit of disappointment. Because you love Tom Basden. It could only. Well, there was a high risk of failure if you're going to praise something to the skies, or if you're a bit of I'm trying not to say hero worshipper, because that sounds condescending to you and to Mr. Basden. You love his work. Have we hit a brick wall here then?
Well, I don't know whether it's just a pit stop. You don't know in what basis. I mean, whether somebody got him in to an office somewhere and said, "Listen, can you write us this? You know, we're looking for a cross between My Family and You've Been Framed. Can you write it for us?" You know.
Yeah, not the most flattering comparison, but
well, I love one of those programs, but
at least one,
at least one,
at most one.
But I'm more shocked, I think, than when I saw. Well, you're right. I mean, when I saw it was Tom Basden. I mean, and just to put a bit of perspective, when we've talked about Tom Basden in the past, we've talked about the radio series Party, which I loved. I thought it was fantastic with him,
I loved it too. Yeah.
Katie Wicks and all the rest of them. He's written Plebs, which I don't think you were so keen on. I really quite like.
Is that the Roman thing?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cowards, which was a kind of sketch show with Tim Key and various others.
I have to say, can I confess, because I've got a problem with names generally and actors' names specifically, and I did confuse Tim Key and Tom Basden. For some reason, I thought Tim Key was behind this, but unless he's got a role later in the series, he's not involved in this, is he?
No, he's not. But I mean, to work with people like that and then to do, Cowards, when the sketch show, I mean, they had one of my favourite all-time sketches, which was 4 judges up on the roof smoking, having a smoke break, and Tim Key's one of them, and he said, "What does acquitted mean?" And there's, well, what do you mean? Like, they drag it out, and then eventually he says, "Oh God, I better get back." And it was that kind of off the wall sort of comedy that I've kind of associated Tom Basden with. And then to see Catherine Parkinson and Jim Howick, who I love, who's done Horrible Histories and all that kind of stuff. Alison Steadman, as you said, you can't have a comedy in this country now without putting her in somewhere.
Well, you can't get a commission anyway. Yeah,
and I didn't think it was gonna. I didn't think. I mean, was it what you were expecting? I think that was part of it for me. I kind of thought, oh, it could be that, but I bet it won't be.
Well, as in the returning to the you being framed.
Yeah, my family meets you being framed. I thought, well, it could be that. I mean, but no, it won't be, because look at the people that are in it.
Well, hang on. I mean, I wouldn't reach the conclusion you'd reached in that sense. I could look at a cast list and I think, well, I definitely think mainstream.
It is very mainstream, isn't it? I mean, it is.
It is, but I don't use that as a dirty word.
Crevice.
I think it's a wonderful thing to be given an opportunity, a very dangerous thing at the same time, to be given the opportunity of making a mainstream comedy when you've been a little bit edgy, as I think you and I would probably agree. Tom Basden's been a bit on the fringes. But it's like, I mean, I remember in the world of music, I'm always looking for parallels there, U2 were incredibly edgy when they started out, and they had this really cool label. It seems impossible now, but how do you have big success without, by definition, becoming mainstream? And that's not a bad thing to be, is it?
I mean, I guess not. Like I say, it was just a disappointment that I kind of thought, there's room for mainstream programs. I just didn't think this was going to be one of them. And very early on, I realised that it was going to be one of them. I'm not sure how much of that ruined it for me in a sense, but it was a bit farcy for me as well. I've got a problem with, people running in and out of rooms and upswears me trousers and that kind of thing, Well, we've lost the dog. We've got 2 dogs now, and I don't know what we're going to do. We've got to take the dog back, and all that kind of farcical stuff kind of leaves me a bit cold. But is that a genre that you like? Is it?
I think I wouldn't normally. I just felt I was in very safe hands. Maybe I relaxed in the way I thought you would with Tom Basden.
Yeah.
But I realise now that can go either way, can't it? If it can create perhaps unrealistic expectations, or sometimes realistic expectations. But I don't quite have that. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Tom Basden, which has come through you. And but at the same time, for me, it wasn't a high wire act that, what if he falls on this one? It was actually, let's give it a go. I felt disappointed with the one I'd seen randomly, episode 5. If I'd seen it in the right order, I think I would have fallen for it. It doesn't mean I'm going to rush and see them all, but I just thought I'll just give an example. A beautiful throwaway. Took me a while to twig. The mother of the character played by Tom Basden, who I don't need to consult my notes, is called Robin. Oh yes, I do. So Robin's mum, and Robin is brother to the Catherine Parkinson character.
Rachel.
The trouble I have is distinguishing between the different generations. I'm trying not to confuse the two mums, but of course failing. Anyway, so Rachel's mum is played by Alison Steadman. But so Alison Steadman's character comes along with a dog called Lord Sugar. It took me a while to work out. Yeah, of course we're calling it, the reference is Alan Sugar. And then she's talking, as that generation do, about a dog doing its business, which is kind of, euphemistic. And then someone says in the car, what's his business? And someone else says, Amstrad. Just throw away one word. I mean, beautiful. And it was, for me, richly layered like that. Clearly didn't do it for you, but I just thought, it's actually a lot of work has gone into it, but it hides that work, I think. It looks chaotic, but there's beautiful art under the surface.
The chaos gave me a bit of a problem and a bit of a headache, really.
That's what you're calling farce, isn't it? I mean, one person's farce is another person's, I don't know, busy comedy.
Well, no, I mean, the farce element for me was the kind of the dashing about and the chasing the dogs, and then they got two dogs, and then that to go to, you know what I mean? It's that kind of the farces, and then the crazy golf when they went to a crazy golf thing and they're rushing around, and that, to me, that was the farce element of it. But the chaos was what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the car, I think. And a dialogue of 7 is quite wearing after a while. And there was a lot of that, I felt. It was like a kind of,
is that a setalogue, actually?
It would be, wouldn't it?
I didn't feel, no, I just felt that is, obviously it's exaggerated. It's turned up to 11, to coin a phrase, but it's still identifiably. I mean, surely you must have this with young kids. This is where maybe I have this jaundiced version of what family life can be when you're the dad, because I'm not a dad, and so maybe I think this is situation normal. But I mean, getting 2 kids under 5 out of the house in itself, isn't that a military operation?
Oh yeah. I mean, somebody. Well, I can't remember the last time I just walked out the caravan or the house, whatever. The hardest part, I said this to my wife the other day. The hardest part of being a parent, I think, there's 2 things. I was talking to the builders who were building our house, and I said to them, I said that I was trying to do some work, and the kids were. I was looking after the kids as well. And I'm sat down at the computer, I was doing some audio editing, and I was sat there, and then all I can hear is, "Daddy, can you wipe my bottom?" So you go off and do that, and then you come back and you sit down.
Sorry, was that Angelina?
Yeah, no, that was Frank, actually.
Not some kinky game.
And then you're there, "Daddy, can you wipe my bottom?" And I said to the builders, "See, the problem with being a parent is there are too many bottoms to wipe. I've not only got my own, I've got another 2 I've inherited now." And there's that side. And the other one I was saying to Angelina is you have parallel conversations with 2 children, and they're completely disparate. And you kind of, it's like conversation ping pong. It's just incredible.
But that's, that could drive you spare. That could be tragedy, but it could equally be comedic, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, it's very
the idea that one answer to one child is misconstrued as being the answer to the other child.
It's a bit like the 2 Ronnies, isn't it? Answering the question that I asked before.
Pass.
Yeah. But I found that like the 7 odd people in the car, I found that exhausting. I don't know whether I just haven't got tolerance for that kind of thing now, but I just...
Maybe you have your fill in the day, and maybe I don't have that because I'm working from home on my own a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's my second-hand adopted family for half an hour.
I think, do you also... I mean, I don't know whether this is something that you pick up on as well. I think all of these automatically suffer from what's gone before them. And there was a point early on when Jim Howick was doing a bit of shtick, and I kind of thought this is already starting to feel like The Office. the delivery.
There was, yes, but there was only one Office-style moment. I can't remember the exact context, but where he did a sort of bit rude kind of thing, as we call it.
Yeah.
He didn't actually use those words,
No.
but that sort of half reaction look. But I guess at the same time, it's what they have in common is someone being aware they are being recorded. Even in the car, thinking about it, there must be the internal camera. But I thought that was a great conceit. We should talk about that if we may, just before getting onto our second audio clip. I thought that was quite a clever thing. I mean, even like the what do we call her? The grandmother, Alison Steadman character, comes in and says to camera, so she's obviously aware she's being recorded because there is her grandson there. And she says, "Oh, you're still doing your little videos?" That was utterly believable.
Yes.
The grandmother, I didn't feel that was patronising, that she's removed from it. She just sees it. She doesn't see it as him making a documentary. She's grown up in an age where, maybe a Super 8 film camera in the past, little holiday, not snaps, but film, mini films. She doesn't know that you can now make a whole film on a smartphone or whatever. And he sort of semi answers back, no, it is this project. Do you think as a conceit that didn't feel tired? Because we've had the mockumentary many times over, started by the Office or whatever. I'm sure there are other ones we could point to.
Is it that far removed from that though, as a concept? I don't.
Not massively, but for me it feels like an evolution. Maybe I'm trying not to quote Mr. Partridge, but we should have one Partridge-free week. But this isn't it.
It ain't going to be this week, is it? No.
I don't revolve. I evolve. No, what was that? I don't evolve. See, I can't even quote it properly. But it's an evolution rather than a revolution.
See, for me again, just at the time when I was tiring at the amount of farcical action, the amount of people on screen at any one time, then added into that mix was a very kind of swingy guerrilla style filming that kind of I was like, I just wanted to stop now. It was a bit like being on a ride at the theme park, I think that was kind of the thing that fatigued me the most in a way, because I think it's a retrograde step from the mockumentary, because at least that has some kind of pretense to be a professional setup, doesn't it? So it tends to be steadier and more watchable. I'm not a big fan of movies. I get terrible motion sickness. I can't play video games, first person video games, because of that reason. So that's not really my thing either.
What I still can't buy, and I've been whinging about this for years, so no one's listening. Why should they? But which came first? But this. It was the move to the handheld camera, but in a drama setting. That makes no sense to me. I mean, call me old-fashioned. It meant usually the point of view of the criminal, because it looks slightly edgy if you're going along an alley, say, in the dead of night. Yeah. Handheld camera seems appropriate if we're seeing through the eyes of the baddie. It doesn't make any sense if we're in, say, I'm thinking of Cops, which is one of the first dramas I was aware of, maybe not the very first, if anyone knows that. Good in many ways, and I don't normally like police dramas, but we're in, say, in a police station or at the scene of a crime, but the camera's wobbling. Hang on, camera wobbling means there's a person holding it. It totally took me out of the drama of it.
I think people are trying to do different things like that. We've just been watching a drama with Olivia Colman and David Threlfall called Landscapers. It's a true story about a couple in Nottingham who were convicted of killing her parents. And at one point, they were in a police interrogation room, and at one point, the lead police officer said, "I don't think it happened like that at all. I think it happened like this. Come on." And everybody got up and left the set. And you could see behind the scenes on the dock, and they walked off to another set, to a bedroom where her parents were.
Oh, that's getting into surreal world, especially with very serious subject matter that's actually happened.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, that makes me think of a Sean's show, the sitcom. I can see that working with Sean Hughes years ago, and that was quite, I thought, cutting edge for its time.
They did it straight. I mean, they didn't. They weren't doing it for laughs, kind of thing.
But the actual visuals aren't straight in my perception. But
well, you just go, whoa, what's going on here? Then
Yeah.
But they use lots of technique. I'll tell you, it's actually directed by the guy who was in Defending the Guilty. The young guy,
right.
Who played opposite Catherine Parkinson.
Well, they're half Japanese.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was directed by him. He was only young. He's only 30-year-old. He's.
Wow.
But yeah, there's lots of transitions to black and white when they're going back. All I'm saying is that I think they're all now they're more predisposed to look for more methods to convey the story rather than just the traditional, aren't they? I think is the thing. Should we have another clip and just play the second clip and let people have another listen as well? The whole episode was called Mum's Birthday Voucher because it was Catherine Parkinson's birthday, as we heard in the first clip there. And Catherine Parkinson's character Rachel has been bought this voucher ticket to Monkey World by her husband, played by Jim Howick. So they're on not Monkey World, Jungle World. They're on their way to Jungle World. And the family need to find and stop off at the park to let Sue's neighbour's dog, who we mentioned she's looking after. Was it Lord Sugar?
Lord Sugar.
And I'll have to mention that because otherwise, if you play the clip and you think actually it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, the dog is called Lord Sugar.
Come on, Lord Sugar, do your business.
No, oh, Rachel! I was told not to do that in case he did that.
Heel, boy!
Lord Sugar! Come here, but
He'll be back. Right.
he won't be back. Lord Sugar!
He's fast, isn't he?
Oh, blimey hell, where is he?
Sir Alan!
No, Dad, it's Lord Sugar.
Oh yeah, Lord Sugar!
Not that one. Oh, come on,
Lord
please.
Sugar!
Lord!
Here, boy.
No, you've got to say his whole name or he won't respond.
Well, he's not responding anyway, is he?
Lord Sugar.
Stupid dog.
Lord Sugar!
Don't call Lord Sugar stupid.
Of course he's stupid. All these fluffy doodle cocker-jacker schnooberdles are stupid.
They're quite bright,
Why
aren't
can't people have a normal dog?
There are no normal dogs, Mum. They've all been bred to be cute or useful.
Yeah.
Unless you mean wolves.
Okay, yeah. Why can't people grow up and have a wolf?
Do you want me to answer that?
No, I don't.
By the way, we were hearing the teenage daughter there, who I thought was really great, played by Freya, isn't it? Parks.
Yeah.
And her character name is Amy, and I believe that. And she seemed to have the trouble with. I don't know how old she is as an actor. I don't know whether you happen to know, but she's older than she's playing, but she had that awareness. It's very hard to play an unaware teenager or not fully aware. That's the catch to try and to do that. And years ago, I was just recalling the other day, a Dennis Potter play was actually, it was cast with adults playing teenagers for that very reason.
Right.
And I never saw it. My dad watched it years ago. He's no longer around to ask, but a friend I did ask who had seen it thought it worked because they had that awareness. No consolations there for you.
I thought it was quite illustrative of how I did listening to that clip again, which is like the kind of the third time I've heard it. But when you hear it, it's always different without the visuals, isn't it? And it did occur to me that time around. I wonder how much of it was just improvised, and they had the basis of the script, because to write that was quite. They're all kind of chipping in, aren't they? It's and to write and to act that, I would have thought would have been quite a difficult thing. So I do wonder whether it's a kind of spontaneous.
In these situations, that I could certainly imagine it coming out of improvisation in rehearsal studios or wherever. I'm not sure either way, but it certainly has that. That's a sort of naturalness, which hopefully is some mitigation.
I'm going to watch the rest of them simply because I like to see how a whole series pans out as to whether, because very often, we do one episode, don't we? Think, I've watched the rest of it. I wish I'd have known that now, but of course that's not the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
So it will coerce me into watching the other 5 anyway, which is probably more than it would do for you. So what does that say?
Well, no, you say that. I'm certainly tempted. In fact, I've already said provisionally to my Alison, we failed to watch episode 1 together because of our different schedules, because I was literally, me, I was up against the clock getting ready for our recording and having to watch the show as I got, rigged the mic and everything, which is not an ideal setting, but I still enjoyed it, so I felt I did it justice.
Come on, put a number on it then. Let's put ourselves out of our misery.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to watch episode 2 with Alison, maybe in the next few minutes. Strike while the iron's hot. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 because I thought it was very successful. And quick mention for character Cherry, who's Tom Basden's bird. I just use that term just to wind everyone up. Played by an actor called Tori Allen Martin. I thought very well. She was kind of a rock thrown into the pool of what was already chaos in the family, but probably too much chaos for you.
I just thought it was terrible, cliched. I'll talk like that. I do. It was like, can you find the 1970s? They want you. They want your character back,
or come to my part of the world where some people do actually speak like that, and it does happen.
Yeah, mate. I don't know. Yeah. It's a 2 from me, I'm afraid. So a 6 out of 10 for Here We Go. You can catch up with the rest on iPlayer, depending on when you listen to this podcast, of course. The BBC might have been defunded by then, and iPlayer might not be a thing, so who knows? Oh, hello, there's somebody at the door. So
I think it's Tom Basden for you.
Yeah. Yes, it's 6 out of 10, and it's a BBC Studios production. What have you got for us next week then, Twinkle Toes?
Well, I've been in a bit of a quandary because you actually, people listening last week will know, you nicked my homework, which was going to be Here We Go. Not the Chemical Brothers, but the show we've just slabbed. So I think we should go transatlantic. We're going to stick with the visual medium of televisuals. We are going to cross to the other side, both of the Atlantic, but also the other side of what used to be a very simple divide in the UK with TV. So by that I mean ITV, which you can now find in this glorious digital age at itv.com. Being American, it's called Superstore. So that's the name of the series. I'm going with series 2, episode 1.
Okay.
And the episode is called Olympics. So it's on ITV, Superstore, series 2, episode 1, subtitle Olympics. Episode title is Olympics.
All right, lovely. I must admit, I've not really caught up with that in terms, because isn't it on ITV2 or something? I think it resides.
Well, this is the problem in the streaming age. I'm not sure half the time, and I'm not sure which channel Here We Go was on, because that would have been a clue. I'm guessing BBC One.
Yeah. I mean, if only somebody did a podcast that kind of highlighted various programs that you could watch if you wanted to, like in the comedy genre, that'd be ideal, wouldn't it, really? But
well, Ideal was one of the.
Don't even remind me about that.
You're still in pain.
I tell you,
I love it.
Unbelievable.
It's time to move on.
Yeah,
move on.
Thank you very much for your company. And don't forget, if you want to go back through our back catalogue, matron. We have to do
We have one of those jokes, and Here We Go.
Yes. Yeah. No, I never mind a new matron. That's the least of our worries. Don't forget, you can catch up with the Comedy Slab on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeart Radio, Spotify, YouTube. In fact, most of the streaming, I was going to say all, but there are new ones coming along all the while. In fact, if you'd like us to be on your favourite one, let us know, because I could probably arrange that. It's just that we don't know that it's there, but you can catch up with the entire back catalogue, and even cherry pick the ones that you fancy finding out a little bit more about.
And I am going to say, because I haven't said it for a couple of weeks, I've missed saying, you can follow us on Twitter. Please do, at Comedy Slab, and that's also the handle at Comedy Slab for our Facebook page. Like the latter, follow us on the former. What could possibly go wrong?
If you've enjoyed the Comedy Slab podcast, the other thing is, why not put some cash in a brown envelope and send it along to the Comedy Slab dining experience? And
P.O. Box. I'm going to impersonate you, and you could have a go at impersonating me. I mean, what could possibly go wrong there?